All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's Futures Barizio here. Clean up my screen here. 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 7th, and 2025. Just want to do a quick kind of midday update here. And so we'll jump right in. Of course, before we get started, as always, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and any questions or comments, leave them down below. All right, so let's just jump right in. We'll take a quick look at Euro USD and dollar yen. So as I was saying yesterday, um, according to the weekly chart, the Euro USD looked pretty bullish to continue the uptrend. Daily chart wasn't so much because we had put in this lower high back here. Technically, we broke this structure. So, in other words, we had price run up here, make this high, pull back. When it tried to run up again, failed to put in a new high, didn't even come back to the old high. And then came down here, broke this structure, and then we had this big bullish engulfing candle. I think this was probably last Friday during NFP. This was the daily candle last on Friday. Yeah, that would be right because this is today, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, so this was Friday, and this was because from non-farm payroll. So I'm in a long position on Euro FX futures, which I'll show you in a second. It's in a little bit of drawdown. I'm not really too thrilled about it. I don't know if it's going to end up working out. It could be that we are going to move lower now with this lower high and this break of structure, and that what appears to be bullish on the weekly chart might not hold. Remember, I had drawn in this level as kind of the weekly swing low. But you can actually still, even though it's a little harder to see, here's that lower swing high right here that we saw on the daily chart, right? That's this area right here on the weekly chart. So it's really struggled today. The euro, if we go down here to the 1 hour chart, really has been trading down all day. It looked like maybe we are going to get some buying right here, which is where I jumped into this. This was pulled off this. We had two touches at this level and a pretty strong candle. And then these two subsequent candles on the hourly chart have been very small range, but that's also probably just, time of day and summertime. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm kind of neutral on this now just based on what it's done today, but we'll see. And if we go over to dollar yen, again, you can make this fit either way. I was talking about, yesterday how long this has taken for this to go from this low up to this high as compared to when it made this high to this low. This is a lot longer. But we did have this move up that broke structure here. It's come all the way back. And again, this was NFP last Friday, this big bearish candle. And price really on the daily chart has done nothing all week. We've had 4 days in a row of very low volume, and the price really has made no progress all week on the dollar yen, at least on this chart. And so you could say that, we are in an uptrend here, which technically we are when you just look at this current price action. And is this a low and we're going to find support here and move higher and break through this zone? I mean, we just take this off the chart to not even bias ourselves. We'll see what happens. It's a lot less clear on the shorter time frame. I mean, the 4 hour time frame is just, really messy. This is that swing low on the daily chart. That's what this line represents. So, I don't know if we're just accumulating in here and then eventually we're going to turn and go back up, or if eventually this is going to break down. I mean, as long as price, and I said this yesterday, as long as price technically remains above this high, then we are technically still in an uptrend. But this is, this was so bearish coming down here. But this was NFP and it was 1 day and there's been no follow through selling. I mean, once it hit this low on Friday, like I said, all of this week, it's been doing nothing. So you would think if we're going to have really bearish price action, we would have made more progress to the downside, and we really haven't. We basically just, chopping along here all week inside of, a fairly narrow range. versus what we saw on Friday, which was all this bearish price action. We did try to go lower in here earlier this week, and then again, but it's trading right back inside of the range from where it left off last Friday. So dollar yen's kind of a mess right now, and euro dollar I'm pretty neutral on. You can make a case either way for long or shorts on this, just based on what time frame you're looking at. But I keep coming back to this this lower high here, and this break of structure is more concerning, especially since, like I said, there's been no real follow through to go higher today. But that doesn't mean it won't. I mean, today could just be a consolidating day, and then tomorrow, we could turn and shoot and go back and make a new high and start heading higher again. I mean, again, on the 4-hour chart, I mean, our structure levels on the 4-hour chart are like way down here, maybe even lower than that, maybe even down here. So it's kind of undecided and unclear right now. Like I said, you can make a case either way. The shorter time frames look a little bit more bullish on this, but some of the higher time frames, especially the 12-hour and daily, are potentially more bearish. That we took structure out, and then this is all corrective. This is, by the way, like a 78.6 retracement level right here at this small bullish candle. And the daily chart, like I said, go either way. So, like I said, I'm in a long right now in Euro FX futures and on my funded FX account, my funded Forex account, long the euro, but small positions. And if they don't work out, that's fine. I'm just going to probably hold them and see what they do through the overnight session. All right, so moving on, let's talk about live cattle. So as I said yesterday, live cattle is at all-time highs. I mean, there's nothing to really compare this to in terms of where price is right now. And as I said yesterday, I was expecting the price to come up and tag this high that we were approaching yesterday. We didn't get up here yesterday to this previous high. Today we did. This candle right here was early on when the session opened. See, it poked through here and pulled back, and then it finally broke through. It took basically about, to really get a good close, it took about 3 hours into the session. Then we got this candle closing above. So for now, this is still up. I did not trade this today. I wasn't comfortable trading it either way at this level as it approached this all-time high. I mean, eventually we're going to see a bigger pullback on this. I mean, it can't go up, like this. This is all internal structure to the upside. But eventually we're going to get a pullback like this one or like this one where it'll pull back for a day or two, if not completely reverse. But this is still our main structure level here on the 4-hour chart. It's down here. So, but again, we have broken out of this high that was set here, and we'll see. I think as long as our structure levels hold, we'll keep going higher. On the hourly chart, obviously we've got some minor structures sitting right here that price may very well pull back to. There's another one right here. So going into tomorrow, if I see price working back towards one of these two zones and then turning more bullish and going higher, then great. Then I'll continue the uptrend. And as long as we ultimately hold this level, we're still bullish. But this is just a crazy uptrend. All right, and onto crude oil, and we'll look at the cash chart. Crude oil, again, has tried to come down. Here's the 4-hour chart. Has tried to come down. This was low we put in yesterday. Yes, yesterday, early in the New York session. And then during the overnight, we pulled back, and then we tried to come lower today. And you can see, at least as of right now, we've actually put in a higher low on, we've had all these bearish candles, but the last two have failed to go any lower right here. And, I have this little tiny trend line here on the 4-hour. So we actually have failed to take out this low right here. It's tried a couple of times to poke lower and it hasn't been able to. So, and that may be because of the level we're at on the higher time frames on the cash chart. So let's take a quick look at that on Trading View. So you probably remember this chart from yesterday when I was showing crude oil. Here's the daily chart. Now let's go to the 12-hour, get a little closer zoom. And I was talking about these levels. Now you can see we've had at least 2 attempts now between yesterday and today to poke through this level, which is this is the lowest of this zone. I captured this wick way back here, and it doesn't mean it's not going to go lower. I mean it's just a space. It's just a place on the chart. But if we zoom out here, I don't really see too much on the weekly chart. But again, the daily chart seems to be getting hung up. We may very well just poke through here and keep going down. But as I said, I wasn't really interested in trading this short or long from this level while it's inside this box, because you can see it's not really making any progress on like these medium length time frames. And so unless we can, get some follow through and close below this low here and really show a good breakout to the downside, I'm not going to really want to short this. Then again, to the upside, we have a 4-hour zone sitting up here. I mean, if we ultimately go and make new lows, this will become our new zone. But right now, I still have this as kind of the 4-hour flip zone, where if price gets above here, that would kind of change the direction. So I'm just not interested in trading it right now. And like I said, it really hasn't made any progress anyways. Now, of course, if you're scalping this on a really short time frame, then yeah, there was some trading in here in these 2 4-hour candles. But if you look into, day trade to swing trades, not a lot. It's just a swing trade. There really isn't much here you can do with this at the moment. And then finally on these FX futures, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this is the same as the euro dollar. This is just the euro FX. I talked about this in yesterday. It's euro FX futures. It only looks at the euro. It doesn't it's not paired with another currency, but it pretty much looks exactly like the euro USD. And you can see I'm holding on to a long here. I only have one contract. It is in drawdown. You can see about $31 right now. Because overall, this still does look pretty bullish. But we'll see. I do have this overhead zone drawn up here. I would love to see this turn and at least head back closer to this zone. That would be a nice little trade. But at this point, if it takes out this 4-hour tail wick down here, then I don't want to be in it anymore. That would definitely be the end of it, for it to go lower. And of course, that's that 1-hour candle that I entered on where I saw some buying and, price kind of pulled back up. And we've had only 2 small candles, bearish candles since then. So there really hasn't been any desire to push it lower either. So like I said, what I'm hopeful for is to get a short-term bounce, continue this uptrend. Looks like we got about a 50% retracement on this move down. But if I get taken out, that's fine too. So it's one contract, no big deal. So. And yeah, that's about it. Like I said, cattle, this is the cash market. And again, this only goes back 4 years, but as you can see, this market has been at new highs, all-time highs for really a couple of years now. Honestly, since it took out this high over here back in the beginning of 2024. So it's been, like a year and a half, this thing's just been going up, up, up. And again, here's that swing. And, as long as this is holding, then any pullbacks on the shorter time frames are buying opportunities until if and when we get a change of structure, break of structure, which for me, that would be this area right in here, come all the way down here and smash through here, and that would change the direction. But in the meantime, any pullback, like I said, in here, no matter how far it goes, would be a chance to buy again into this market. So as long as, like I said, we hold on to this area. So we'll see tomorrow. Maybe I'll get an opportunity tomorrow. If not, fine. We'll wait till next week. And like I said, I've kind of trying to really narrow down what I'm focusing on. And I'm not sure I'm going to keep live cattle. I've done it before. I got away from it. I'm trying it again. As I mentioned yesterday, I cut out a lot, and that included like corn and soybeans. I just felt they just didn't move enough, for this time I was spending on analyzing them. They just didn't move enough. This live cattle, even though it has limited trading hours, uh, like corn and soybeans, when it does move, it may only move for 2 or 3 hours of the session. It generally has like one little impulsive move for the day generally. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some days where it's not going to do anything, like a day like this, where it just sits here all day. But generally, when it moves, it's going to have a nice little move. It'll move for 2 or 3 hours, and then it'll just kind of die out for the day. And that's pretty much what we've seen today. And because it does have a pretty high tick value, if you do get some movement, it doesn't have to go far for you to do well. Of course, the reverse is true too. If it goes against you, it doesn't have to go far for it to be a decent sized loss too. So, so I'm undecided on this particular asset. If I decide not to keep it, I probably will plug something else in. But I'm just trying to get a little diversity across markets. So, like I said, I've got an energy market with oil. I'm using the euro and euro FX futures because I can pair it up with my Forex account and have one analysis across futures and Forex, spot Forex, without having to look at other assets, because I can apply that to both futures and Forex. And then this cattle being, what they consider an agricultural market. And, I mean, I could go back to looking at soybeans or something. I don't think I'd go back to corn. Corn does tend to move really slow. Soybeans has some volume, but it stops and starts. And I was just getting frustrated with just the lack of movement some days. But because it seems to be very, weather related, which makes sense, right? Stock and weather related, where, I think something like cattle, even though it doesn't have a big trading range every day, it does tend to at least make some moves on almost a daily basis. Might consolidate for a couple of days, but then it generally tends to move after that, and you just have to just wait for the right setup. So, all right, so yeah, that's it, guys. I'm gonna leave it there. Got to run here, but just want to do the quick update here in the afternoon. And we'll check back in tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And again, like the channel, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Any questions, comments, leave them down below, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. All right, thanks.